An intro this time. That's good.
Yay.
Yay. Alrighty. We are good to go. This is a professional podcast here. Right on. Cool. I will go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 84. On tonight's episode, we welcome back friend of the show, Josh. Are you Josh Thomas now? Like
I am now. You just renamed me.
Right on.
Is it like Josh Wheaton, but better?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Josh Whedon. There you go. All right, let's try this again. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 84. On tonight's episode, we welcome back friend of the show, Josh Thomas, to discuss his thoughts and feelings about E3, and Jesse provides his first impressions of Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE, plus your questions and more. Let's cue the music. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Nintendo Dads Podcast. My name is Zach Erickson, and tonight is June 29th, 2016. Joining me tonight, of course, is Justin Masson's gone, but Jesse Waldeck is here. What's going on, Jesse?
Good. It's not often I get the second billing after you. Normally I get the speaking of billing in third. And
yeah. Speaking of second rate, I don't know what's going on. We've got Josh Thomas from TheBitBlock.com back with us once again. Josh, thanks for being on the show again, dude.
I'm excited. I actually totally forgot. And then I was like, oh my god, that's right. And I got really genuinely excited to talk with you guys about Nintendo.
Right on. Well, hopefully we can find a lot to talk about because there's not a whole lot this week. But
I plan on making up news to talk about, so don't worry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's exactly... I feel like that's generally...
In other words, that's normal gaming journalism today.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. You know what?
Don't have news, make a rumor. Link's
a girl now. There you go.
Again?
Yeah, exactly. That's my plan, man. Hey, anytime drive traffic. That's what I think. So
where's the clickbait? We need an image.
Yeah, you've heard it here first. We have breaking news at some point. So news.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. Let's head into the news, shall we? All right. So tonight, like we said, this week has been pretty quiet. You know, I think there's some new releases that we're going to finally, get a chance to talk about. Josh, I'm excited. I was looking beforehand that you've got a review up for Rhythm Heaven Megamix, but I haven't watched it yet. So I'm excited to maybe hear your stuff on that later on as well.
Awesome.
But before we even get started, Josh, we haven't had you on since our we had our predictions episode with Roger and Andre a few weeks ago now. E3 has happened since then. It has washed over us, and we've marinated in it for a little while.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, this got really graphic.
This did.
How did you feel about E3? Like we got not a whole lot of news, but a little bit. How are you feeling about E3 now that it's come and gone, compared to where you thought we would be, and those sorts of things?
Well, I mean, I think that the incredible high qualityness of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild definitely made it an okay E3. I mean, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be totally honest with you. You know what? I'm not ashamed to admit it, but I think that Mario Party game that they just threw out there for the 3DS looks like it could be fun. I think Paper Mario Color Splash is going to have maybe crappy battling, but my goodness, if that does not look like a gorgeous little game.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, overall, like I think that they showed enough stuff to just not make me super, super disappointed. I was a little bit more positive about it than I thought I was going to be. But they got a lot of work to do later on this year, I think. But for their E3, it was not bad. And did you guys see that booth? That Zelda booth? Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah. It was funny. We talked about this a little bit a couple of weeks ago. But what do you think would have happened? Like, do you feel like the whole not having a digital event paid off for them? Like, if they would have had basically what they showed in, over the course of E3, over the 2 days, do you feel like we would have eaten them alive if it was all within a digital event?
Yeah,
Did this whole no digital event thing pay off? I guess is my question.
I think that we had our expectations so low that we kind of accepted what they showed us because everybody was like, "Oh my God, this is going to be the worst thing ever. They're actually going to be worse than last year." And it wasn't worse than last year. It was actually a better E3 than last year, I think. If they would have shown it in a direct, yeah, probably wouldn't have been as good as what they did, I think. I think trickling out the news was better because it's like, for me personally, when I found out, like, oh, they're going to show Paper Mario, they're going to show Mario Party, they're going to show the Pokemon Go thing, like all that stuff kind of came out right at the last second, and I felt like, oh,
they're
it kind of happened instantly.
They're going to release a game.
Right, yeah, they released Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix out of nowhere on the eShop. So I think you're right. Well, I don't know if this is what you were necessarily leaning towards, but I think that doing the live stream thing and revealing this stuff as time went on actually probably worked in their favor as opposed to just being like, here's our direct, our big E3 direct, and it's a lot of games you already knew about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like even like going back and listening to our reactions to E3 day 1 and then E3 day 2, I don't know. I felt like by the end of E3 day 1, I was just feeling like I was feeling frustrated that they didn't deliver all of that information in one package. Like, it's such a catch-22 where if they would have delivered all of that information in one package, in like an hour and a half window, then it would have felt like this is all you've got. Even looking now, I went back and looked at e3.nintendo.com, and there wasn't that much stuff on the webpage, but they spent so much time with Zelda that on that first day especially that it felt like they had given us a ton of information. So it's interesting how I think you're right, though. I think that it did overall, it paid off for sure. So
I think it was really weird how they were like, they showed us that trailer. They kicked it off with that trailer for Zelda. And then after that, they're like, and now here's an hour of Pokemon. And I was like, what the heck is this? You can't do this. You have to go into Zelda right away.
Yeah. It was like, yeah, that's exact. It was terribly timed. I think if they should have bumped that trailer to the beginning of the second day, showed that trailer or whatever, or
the Pokemon stuff?
Or even just put it later in the day, right? Like
I would have been fine if they just started with Pokemon and then led into Zelda.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I think people would have been going nuts if that happened, if they were like teasing for a longer time.
Well, versus what they did was they showed the trailer, then went to Pokemon, and then that was the tease.
I would have thrown Pokemon out of there altogether. I would have said just do Zelda for like a couple hours and then go into Pokemon.
Yeah. I think they should have. I think just because what people really wanted was Zelda, right? And so
right.
True.
And
I think I got enough out of the Pokemon stuff that I think I was happy with it.
So would you play Pokemon?
I off and on. I kind of didn't play Gen 6. I kind of tend to go like every other generation.
So did you have an interest in that Pokemon game that they showed off?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so that would be so I can understand that.
Yeah,
then.
I did buy Y, but I only got to the second gym just because it was such a slog to get there.
It was a bad pacing thing.
And I just lost interest in playing, and I was already burned out because I had played another game the previous year. But now that I haven't touched a Pokemon game in 2 years, I think I'm ready for this new one.
Interestingly enough, I mean, this is the headline is literally the entire piece of information or like news story, but we are expecting new Pokemon information on July 1st. So some show, it's likely one of those TV programs in Japan that they like have some game show where they cover people in slime and then show Pokemon footage. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, how do I get this? This sounds fantastic.
That is my perception of Japanese television.
It's Nickelodeon plus Pokemon. I got it. This is awesome.
But they always push it too far, so it's like a person in like a giant vat full of spiders.
Oh, okay.
And Pokemon footage.
No, yep, they did ruin it. Then you just got to stick true with the slime.
That makes sense only if the Pokemon they're featuring is a spider.
I actually saw footage of, it was a Japanese game show. It was on Facebook. Somebody had shared it. It was 2 Japanese young women who both had their mouths over a single like long clear plexi tube and there was a cockroach in the middle and they were
Oh my God.
blowing back and forth
Oh.
to one of it.
I've
No.
seen this. Yeah, I have seen this.
No.
That-
Oh.
so terrible.
It's just terrible.
Yeah. As soon as that thing got about 2 feet away from someone's face, I'm changing channels. I'm not watching where this is going to go.
Well, guys, I've got bad news for you. That tube and the cockroach is the new Nintendo controller for the NX. That's how you play. That's why they're keeping quiet on it.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
working on the marketing.
well, and that is a perfect segue into just a very brief comment. Again, like I said, short or slow news week. There was a comment from Miyamoto in an interview this week, and I'll just read it very quickly. It says, "In terms
Wait, did he say Pikmin 5 is almost done?
yes, that's exactly
Is that what he said?
that's exactly what he said. He said we have
It's a secret to everybody.
Exactly. In terms of NX, there's an idea that we're working on. That's why we can't share anything at this point. And I don't want to comment on the other companies. If it was just a matter of following advancements in technology, things would be coming out a lot quicker." So, in other words, Nintendo, and then later in this interview as well, basically, Miyamoto has stated that due to this idea, that is why they did not release the NX at E3, and that's why they're being more strategic in how they reveal this. And we kind of had a little bit of discussion in the pre-show, but what do you guys think? Like, what does this tell us about the NX that they feel like they can't even release it at E3? 9 months from release is too far away almost, and that they're not going to be able to. They don't want people to copy them. Their idea, which of course they're going to do anyways, right? Like PlayStation Move says hello, but like what do you guys think about this? Josh, what are your thoughts about?
So there's actually another comment that was made around E3 that got me really excited from Ubisoft. It was like one of the higher ups at Ubisoft who has seen what Nintendo NX is. They said that they're going to be supporting it, and his comment was that he actually believes Nintendo could recapture that Wii audience with the NX. That excited me because I actually was so into the Wii era of Nintendo. I think it was super creative, and it was just so great. It was such a great time to be like a Nintendo fan because they were at the top of their game and on top of the world. And then this comment as well, to where apparently the NX is something different that people might want to really copy it, and Nintendo doesn't want to have that happen, and they want to protect it. So those two comments, I feel, actually really excite me because I want that. I want that fun, new, innovative way to play. I want us to be, questioning what Nintendo games could be like with this new controller or with this new setup. So everything about that excites me. Zach, you'd mentioned that you worry that maybe it might be something so simple that it could be easily replicated.
Almost to the point where, what it says to me is that maybe this is something that is even maybe easily done on the software side, maybe, right? Where it's just like, oh, we'll just go write a few lines of code and we can copy it, or something like that. I wonder if that's the case, or I don't know if that's, what that potentially says, but especially if it was, like if Sony, for example, if this is like a hybrid system, can Sony fairly easily position the Vita as a sort of way of being.
The Vita is literally a skeleton with spiders crawling on it, so I don't think that's ever going to become anything.
But what I'm saying is that is this something that is going to be, very potentially easily copied? If it is, because releasing, revealing it to the public and to competition in June versus in September or October, not that much of a difference. Right, as far as time, and so it makes me wonder. And we had kind of had this discussion in the pre-show as well. Is like, how confident is Nintendo in this idea that they have to be secretive about it? Is it because they think it's an amazing idea, or is it because this is what we've got, and if somebody steals our idea, then we're hosed? That sort of idea. I don't know what. It just is weird. It's
I sort of wonder because like with the Wii remote, they showed us the controller before the games. And I'm wondering if maybe with the NX, it's the opposite way around, to where if they showed us the controller, we might be like, what? This is stupid. So they want to make sure the games are there to really show us why that controller makes sense, or why this new way to play games makes sense. So maybe that's why they held back. Because I remember Mr. Kimishima mentioned like, oh, the reason we're not showing it at E3 is because the games aren't ready yet. So I feel like maybe the games are going to be what really shows us why this is a fun new way to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mystery, that's for sure. And I really, I mean, I talked about this in a video I did, but like I'm slightly worried that we might not really get the full explosion of Nintendo NX news and media that we want this year, and they might actually like wait to show us a lot until like January of next year.
Well, and they've even reestablished like, no, it's coming in March. Like,
Oh, did they?
absolutely. Yeah, just like I saw a headline this week that said that they have reaffirmed that it is March.
Oh, okay. Well, then they can't possibly be showing us the bulk of this in January. Like that, this
Wait.
big reveal has to happen this year.
Yeah.
You
No.
can't sell a new gaming system with 3 months notice.
Yeah. Well,
Sega Saturn.
Well, how did that work out though? In the end.
Exactly.
yeah, it definitely, I don't know. I am excited to see what they have to show, but it's
Yeah.
still weird to me to think that they're planning on announcing it in the fall and then 6 months later releasing it. Like that's still crazy to me that could potentially happen. But
That's what it's like to follow Nintendo. Yeah, you got to get used to craziness.
yeah, that's
Yeah, I talked with my son about this the other day, and of course, his first real experience with Nintendo's was with the Wii, because at that time he was like 5 years old. Even though he had played other previous consoles, he really didn't know what he was doing. But I explained to him, the Wii had two Wii 3s before it was released. The Wii U had two Wii 3s before it was released, and the NX isn't getting one, and that blows my mind. Much less, blew his mind once he realized that. So this is going to be interesting to see what this does.
I wonder too though, like where does Nintendo, like where do most companies actually focus their marketing now, right? Like yes, you want to get the
teraflops. Is that the word?
I mean more the like what are the media channels specifically, right? Like yes, you want to have IGN or whatever cover it, but IGN's going to cover it anyways, right? And so they don't need to cater to the press, the gaming press specifically at E3, and anybody who is really interested in what Nintendo is doing is going to be following them via their social media channels or anything like that. And so it's almost like Nintendo is just like, well, we're going to announce it whenever we're going to announce it. And why is E3 necessary anymore? And I in that sense, I don't think that they really are all that necessary. It's just more the concern at this point is 6 months enough time to build that hype? And arguably, I think with Zelda now being shown, they can come out, show the NX, and say, hey guys, remember that awesome game that we showed you? Well, here's the NX version. 6 months from now, you can own it on NX, right? So I think that it still could work, I think.
Yeah, I think the NX version of Zelda is going to run much more smoothly than the Wii U version. And I think that'll be one of the selling points.
I think as well, yeah, like I took a little bit of grief on our reaction show that Zelda game kind of looks a little bit like, especially if you look at like the grass blades and like a few things like that. There was some pop-in going on in the demo.
Yeah, there definitely was.
It does not. It's not super impressive technically. I'm really excited to see what it looks like on NX, because if it is that much better, especially looking at some of the stuff that was coming out on PS4 and Xbox One. If the Zelda game can meet that standard on NX, count me in, man. Day one.
Yeah, I think if you take away that gorgeous individual little blades of grass blowing in the wind, you would probably be looking at a drastically less sexy game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really making it. I think that with the NX, we'll get that smooth 60 frames per second at all time. You won't have any slowdown. I think you won't see that pop in as much. And I think it'll be
better
1080. Yeah, I think it would run 1080p. I don't think the demo at E3 was running 1080p. I think it was 720.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, right on.
Yeah.
And I'll go. I can see where Nintendo's coming from about this secret thing, in planning E3, because at that time we didn't know what Microsoft was doing, didn't know what Sony was doing. All we knew was rumors. They might show something, but we don't know. And now that E3 is over with, and we know that Sony's got a new something coming, and Microsoft has two new somethings coming. You know, I'm sure by now those somethings are already ironed out and what the features are going to be. So if at this point, if they're planning on copying Nintendo or whatever the NX is, they're going to have to wait for another console iteration to do so.
And you know what? And maybe at this point in the sort of development of NX and the manufacturing and all that, maybe they were also just waiting to see what Microsoft and Sony did, and maybe they had, you know, potentially, I don't know how far out they do this, but potentially they have a couple different options for specs, and you know, both of them are viable, but they want to see what the competition is going to be as well. Even though Nintendo says, "Oh, we don't care about specs, we don't care about this and that," I think they still want to be. Yeah, they still want to make as informed of a decision as possible there too. So that's another possibility. Although they likely already know a lot of that information just because of their, you know, all the crazy industrial espionage stuff that likely is going on behind the scenes, anyways.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons for wanting to have the NX be not too drastically weaker than the competing consoles is you're going to see third parties have no interest. Like third parties, unless you have a Wii level success on your hands, third parties are not going to bend over backwards to make a special version of their game for Nintendo's console. So Nintendo needs to make it easy for them to take what they're doing on other platforms and bring it to their system. Otherwise, they're not going to care. And I think we started to see that with the Wii towards the end, where it was just like, oh, we got to make a separate version of Call of Duty or whatever for the Wii, and they don't sell as well.
Just look at the Ghostbusters game.
Yeah.
You know, the PS3 and 360 had character models that looked like the actors from the 1980s.
It's a realistic version.
Yeah, and then the Wii got the real Ghostbusters, the cartoon.
Which is, as a Ghostbuster fan, I think that actually was cool because it was almost like there were two Ghostbuster games releasing. But that was like an example of a third party saying, well, the Wii is actually a big success, so we do want to go the extra mile to get this game on that system somehow. But if the NX is not a success, they're not going to care.
Yeah. Yeah, right on. So as well as other stuff going on here, just as the last piece of news, so we've got the NX cartridge rumors, which has been going around for a few weeks now. I feel like it's kind of been a thing, but it's kind of come to a head this week. What do you think, Josh, as far as the NX with cartridges? I think we've kind of talked about it before. If it is like a hybrid device, this is the only way it makes sense for them to do it, right? Other than just straight digital, there's no way you're going to have a handheld with discs. So what are your thoughts on that as far as like the NX using cartridges?
I think it's true. I think it's actually
4 days. Like, am I gonna have to put a cartridge?
I think it'll be a cartridge that's not quite the N64 cartridge, but not quite as small as a 3DS cartridge. But I think it's true. Like, I think this rumor is true, and I think it's kind of like if you piece the puzzle pieces together, you really start to see what the NX could potentially be. Because we've got this rumor that NX is going to be something you can take on the go with you, probably like with the controller that has a screen or something, but it's smaller than the gamepad. And then we hear these rumors now that, the games are cartridges. And it's like, well, that would make sense if it is something that you take on the go. Like you said, you're not going to put an actual disc in there. So
you could go back to like the PSP.
Yeah, do those discs, do they even really make those little discs anymore, like the GameCube sized disc? I don't think that, that's kind of a dead form of media. And I don't even know if they could hold...
Well, especially with how cheap, like, just your basic flash memory sort of SD card style stuff is nowadays. Like,
yeah, that went down majorly in price.
Now
the whole cartridges.
I'm curious in what the capacity of those things were. Let me look at it.
But yeah, I think that I don't know if anybody's honestly going to be upset one way or the other if it's cartridges. Like, I don't think that's going to be making it inferior. Like, oh my God, Nintendo's doing cartridges again. I don't think people will be like offended in any way. Maybe there's a few weird people out there that are like, I want my Nintendo games on a disc, but I think it's not going to hurt anything.
If anything, I think it'll actually maybe speed up the adoption rate for digital, really.
Yeah.
If anything, for those people who are really against it. But again, like you said, I think it's a great idea. I think it really...
They load faster, first of all.
It does definitely, yeah, for sure. And it definitely does, if if this is true, it does kind of lend credence to the and credibility to the idea that it is a hybrid device, right?
Mhm.
Like that seems pretty reasonable at this point. So
I think they might sell the. I don't know, because like the thing about that is that I wonder like how expensive that would be, because that it seems like making something that's like as powerful as a Wii U, if not maybe a little bit more powerful, which is what we kind of want. That seems like it'd be really expensive, like to make it
well,
a console and handheld.
yeah, and at some point I wonder if they, because they have the technology to stream from the Wii U console to the gamepad. What, how much, like, has the technology advanced enough since then for them to be able to stream in the reverse direction, so that they're still doing a lot of the rendering and all of the hardcore stuff on the actual gamepad or the handheld or whatever that you would take with you at any time, and then be able to stream that to your TV, sort of like AirPlay Chromecast style, like a reverse Wii U gamepad situation.
So that's a good point. Like I've been trying to figure out like what the heck the NX could be, and I think maybe it's like not gonna be a traditional home console thing that we see. Like maybe the console is gonna be that controller, and like you do actually just wirelessly stream it to the TV or something like that.
Well, and there's even, there were patents that were basically saying, the sort of modular additional computing power that was going on. So maybe your console box, your TV box has some sort of processing power in it to make up the difference between the handheld and the TV, so that it's like, yeah, you can play it on the handheld, it's going to look good on the handheld, but when you boost it up to the TV, then the actual box kind of gives it a little bit more juice and allows it to really look amazing on the TV. I don't know. I don't know how that technology works.
Right. I don't know how expensive that would be, how inexpensive it would be. I'm just ready to see if it's true or not, or what this thing actually ends up being.
And that sort of thing could be very modular too, where you could buy just the handheld for now, and then pick up stuff later.
Yeah, it could be that. So, like, another option I think is that you buy games, but they work for two things. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if Mario Kart 8 was something you could play on the 3DS or on the Wii U. You know what I mean? Like, they're one game, but it works on two things. One's the handheld, one's the home console.
Yeah.
I think that could be a selling point.
Yeah. That would be awesome. Man, I'm so tired of the speculation phase. Come on, Nintendo. Just tell us
I
what's
was
going.
tired of it back in April.
I know, right? Oh man. Okay.
Right, so I've got the capacity of the UMDs.
Speculation phase. Oh, like Nintendo. Just tell us what's
Tired of
going
it
on.
back in April.
I know, right? Oh
Where
man. Okay,
Right, so
somebody's
I've got the capacity of the
loops.
UMDs.
speculation phase.
what's going on?
Nintendo.
I
Just
didn't do
We're getting an instant replay.
I know, right? Oh man. Okay. Okay, I kid you not, YouTube just
What?
Okay, YouTube just started like playing. I was trying to do the chat and I opened the YouTube window and it like froze, so I couldn't mute it.
Is that what that was?
It was muted already, and then anyway, we're back. Okay.
Right,
Weird.
and now for some reason, I look there. I fixed. I minimized Skype so OBS had what was our Skype window just frozen, so we weren't moving. So that was just all. That was a big cluster. Anyway, I found the capacity of the UMDs.
Okay.
It is 1.8 gigabytes, which is a little bit larger than the GameCube capacity.
What about 3DS cartridges? No.
I imagine those are bigger than that.
Yeah,
I think they come in various sizes. I know they have a 2, and I think they can go up to 4.
Well, I know that even just like a standard SD card, you can get like 128 gigs now, right?
Fairly cheap too, yeah.
And obviously they're gonna want to not have them be that much, I think, but it's possible. It's fairly cheap, I think, is the point.
If you go that much, you're spending almost $40 or $50 just for the hardware.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, even if it's 30 gigs, right, which is, or like a 32 gig one, is not that crazy. It's like
games nowadays are normally in this 50 to 60 gigs, at least the big AAA
Yeah.
use both layers of the Blu-ray game.
Yeah.
So yeah, one thing I noticed looking in the UMD is that it has the most ironic name ever. For being a proprietary piece of hardware, UMD stands for Universal Media Disc.
That sounds like Operation Freedom style of marketing your own stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, right on. Okay, let's head into what we've been playing, shall we? All right. So, Josh, you're our guest.
I am.
What have you been playing this week?
Oh my gosh, what haven't I been playing? I've actually been playing a lot of stuff.
You put a review up for Rhythm Heaven.
I did a review for Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix. The game is amazing. I strongly recommend it. I played a bit of that. I've been playing the original Animal Crossing, but the Japanese version, which has more content in it.
What?
On the GameCube. So they had two versions. They got two versions of Animal Crossing on GameCube.
Right. Yeah, okay.
And the E Plus version has a whole bunch of fun functionality that we didn't get. I've been playing Mario Sunshine. I've been playing a lot of Wii Sports Resort. A lot of summer games I've been playing for the fun of it.
Nice.
There's this really cool game called Doshin the Giant, which only released in Japan and Europe. And I've been playing a lot of that. It's pretty crazy. You play as a giant, naked, yellow man thing, beast.
Oh,
and
the weird plain happy face. He looks like a giant banana man.
There you go. And he's got a belly button that sticks out. And you can help little native people on a tropical island, and that's what you're supposed to do. Or you can crush them and kill them and make their lives miserable, which is what you're not supposed to do. But that's what I do because it's fun. It takes out aggression. I've been playing a lot of stuff. A lot of video games. Nothing new, though, really, other than Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix. A lot of the stuff is old stuff that I've been playing.
Yeah. Oh, I actually just this week, I was playing Rhythm Heaven as well. Just this week, I finished the last remix there, and now I'm just basically going through my one problem. I don't even know if it's necessarily a problem, but with Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix, and it kind of even goes. It's a similar complaint I have with the other ones. Is the option to do a perfect run of a level is kind of just it just randomly shows up.
Yeah,
and you really need to that's the only way to get the currency to unlock the other levels.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's kind of the stage I'm at. It's like I beat the game, but now I want to unlock the rest of those other levels. And so basically it's just like, okay, well, I'll just play this level again and hope that it shows up, and so it's kind of where I'm at. But
does it tell you to do a perfect in one that you already got a perfect in, or no?
I don't think so. So
okay, so that's at least something.
Yeah. So like you do, I think it's, every 3 levels or so, like you'll do like 3 songs, and then it'll come up with an option to do a perfect run, and then hopefully it's one that I'm like fairly proficient at, unlike in previous games too. I think it only gives you 3 tries to get a perfect run, and then it just closes the doors again, and you're like, oh, I guess I didn't get it.
So, yeah, I think it was that way in Rhythm Heaven Fever for the Wii as well. Where they just,
okay.
Yeah,
because I haven't played that one. I have the DS one, but I haven't played the Wii version. So,
so the Wii version's actually, up until Mega Mix, that was my favorite version.
Oh, really?
Mega Mix, yeah, it's really fun. It's kind of weird and interesting to be able to play Rhythm Heaven on your TV.
Is it like Waggle? Was there?
No, it's literally just the A button, or you pinch the A and the B button together.
Okay, cool.
There's no motion control.
Okay, because even moving from the DS version to the 3DS version, the DS version had the weird flick mechanic, right, where you would hold it on the screen and then you'd actually flick it off. Whereas this one, it's just like letting go of the button presses and stuff. It's a little bit easier and more precise that way. But yeah, for people who are still unsure about Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix, I know when it was first announced, they're like, but it's $30, and it's like, man, no, this is plenty worth the $30.
Yeah, there's like over 100 music games in there, and you got 4-player multiplayer, which is cool. I don't know if you guys have tried that out yet.
I haven't. No.
Yeah,
it's pretty fun.
I think the fact that it is digital only, they're forgetting that it is a retail game.
Oh yeah, it's full retail. It's not like it's an eShop only game. Well, it is an eShop only game, but it's not an indie.
Not a built for the eShop game.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny, Jesse, that you mentioned that.
It's not a Picross game by Jupiter.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you mentioned that because I never really thought about that, and I wonder if people will get the wrong idea, thinking, "Oh, this is just some little like indie eShop game that they want $30 for." Like, I think Nintendo of America is being a bit silly not releasing an actual retail version of this in stores because it's going to be in Europe and
Yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? Like,
It
it's
won't surprise
just
me if it's out by if they do so for around the holidays.
I hope they do
yeah.
because the
I
game
think
deserves it.
I
Do you
think they
think
were just
it's
kind of under the gun and had to do something quick for E3.
well, yeah. I wonder too. Like, do you think that this was just a sort of act of, a sort of act of goodwill towards the fans who were, who were in Nintendo, in the big fan circles? Like, is this an olive branch to just release it now on the eShop?
I hope so. Did they mention that there's not going to be a retail version, or did they not say that
I
specifically?
don't know if they ever said that. I think they just released it. It's now available on the eShop, and that was it.
Hmm.
So
Well, it's a great game, and I want as many people to play it as possible because I want to see the series continue on. And yeah, I'd strongly suggest it.
right on, man.
Recommend it.
Very cool. Uh, just I'll actually go real quick here because I haven't been playing too much. Again, I've been playing Rhythm Heaven, and what else? I've been playing Punch Out because of our Retro Rewind episode coming up, and what else? Oh, I've been playing more Hyrule Warriors. I've been playing the crap out of that. Pro tip, by the way, or I guess the next DLC patch is coming out tomorrow for Hyrule Warriors Legends. So that's the one that is all about Link's Awakening, and it's got Marin from Link's Awakening in there, and so that's going to be pretty fun. I continue to be amazed at how much content is in this game. It's crazy. And I got an eShop card for my birthday from my parents, and I had like just a little bit of time left or a little bit of money left, and I had never played. I don't even know why I bought it, but I did because I had heard good things about it. But I haven't even played it yet. I bought Dementium on the eShop. It was like $5 or $6 or something like that. It's on sale right now, so I bought that. I haven't played it yet though. Have either of you played that game? It's I think it was a DS game and now it's a 3DS game.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I've played it.
Did you like it, or am I going to regret that?
Well, so here's the thing, like realistic, scary horror games or movies, I just don't get into much.
No.
Literally, because I'm like Mr. like bright, colorful, shiny
And yet, your favorite
rainbows.
movie of all time is Jaws.
Is yeah. Well, are you saying that I'm not allowed to like Jaws because I don't like? Well, that's a shark and that's summer. That's not like a dark like Dementium's in like
Yeah, no,
a
it's
hospital and
a
there's
little bit different.
yeah. Like I played Silent Hill Shattered Memories back in the day, and I was just like, no, never doing this again.
Yeah. No, I'm a huge I'm a pretty big horror fan in general.
Oh,
So,
I think you'll enjoy it then. I mean, it definitely hits that mark of being,
yeah, as far as that goes. Well, again, like I feel like if it's generally like if it's a game that was on DS and has been remastered for the 3DS, and it was like even after exchange, I think I paid like maybe $8 for it. I'm like, that's probably worth a gamble. So
yeah, yeah, definitely.
so yeah, I think, and it's on the DS, it was like a full
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it was like a $30 game back in the day.
so I think it'll be good. So I'll
Unlike Nintendo, Renegade Kid didn't make the price more when they made a port remaster like Twilight Princess.
oh, seriously, no amiibo pack in either. Right on. And Jesse, you have been playing a new little game, I understand. So
A small little indie game published by Atlas. Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp Iffy.
nice. So I'm excited to hear about this because I've been seeing it on the eShop. I've it's been coming for a long time. Is this the Persona game that we've been waiting for until Persona 5 comes out?
Definitely is. I am really digging this game. Yeah, and if you remember, I initially not knowing that Persona 5 was going to be delayed. Back in 2014, I called Persona 5 my most anticipated game of 2015, and now that game isn't coming out to 2017.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, this game is very very Persona-like. It's very lots of bright colors. And I actually fear for those who are seizure. Uh,
Okay.
they if one is prone, they might want to watch out because
Wow.
they'll the first thing you see is a white background, and then it'll just flash bright colors at you.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. It's just seizure inducing.
It is. If the when you're loading, when you want to save the game, it has to sit there and load the loading data off the hard drive first. That sometimes takes a while, and the only thing you see there is just a bunch of weird shapes going in circles.
Wow.
And a little bit hypnotizing.
That's awesome.
Anyway, but so the game is all the characters are performers of some kind,
Mm-hmm.
and then whether they're a performer or not in this world, everyone generates a certain level of performa. But and the beings called mirages, you like to consume them as food or something along those lines.
They consume performa?
Yes.
Okay.
So the bad mirages will just attack the city, and during an attack, all the city, all the people in the city will just kind of be slum and drum and walking slowly. You go into a store, and normally the shopkeepers are, "Hi, what you doing? What do you want today?" They're like, "Yeah, what do you want?"
This sounds oddly like Yokai Watch.
Probably. In fact, the whole game is spoken in Japanese with mostly the English subtitles. Sometimes you don't get all the English subtitles during the fight, but
Okay.
Sometimes when the battle starts, it sounds like he's saying yokai, but I don't know. What's the translation to that? Something like spirit? Which maybe he's referring to the mirages, but they also have the word mirage. So, I don't.
Weird.
Over the years of watching various anime, I've picked up on a few Japanese words.
Okay.
And I think it's fun. I liked how the Persona franchise, especially 3 and 4, handled a lot of it. Like, a teenager will talk to another teenager, like I would call you Zach-kun.
Mm-hmm. And do they do that in this as well?
Well,
Like-
they'll say it because it's Japanese audio, but they take out the kun and the san and the chans in the subtitles. But that's what I like. That's what I like about Persona is they keep those.
Right.
So whenever they're talking about their boss, the person in charge of this organization, they still call her by her first name, but since she's an adult, she's Maiko-san.
Right.
So it translates to Miss Maiko, which just sounds so weird to talk, especially when you're using a first name. That's what you'd have your 3-year-old say. So it just doesn't work right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and
that was one of the concerns, like, because when they first announced that the voiceover was going to stay in Japanese, but they were going to have subtitles. Initially, I was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds pretty cool." And then I actually saw the trailers, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, I have to read the subtitles." There was just something that
didn't quite click yet?
that happened for me. I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, this is going to be a little bit." I don't know. Like, it almost felt like there's a little bit of a disconnect there, and so I wonder if that's something. Like, how do you feel that works? I know you really don't mind. Like, you actually.
I don't mind it. I watch subtitled Japanese anime all the time.
Right.
Yeah, but there's a few other little tweaks about how they speak names versus how we speak names.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was one part where the subtitle said.
What the? Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't do that either.
That's stupid. Dang it.
So the subtitle said "guys," because this is your character talking to your friend and your mirage, Crom. So it just says guys, but when you the audio, you actually hear him saying Crom and this guy's name, and I don't even remember what his name is off the top of my head now.
Right.
And another section where the girl on your team is talking about her sister, and in the audio, constantly they use the Japanese word for sister. So Oni-chan.
Right.
But they never use the word sister in the text. They always use her name.
Oh, see, so that's the thing is like because there's been a lot of weird controversy around like localization lately with Nintendo, and that would be really distracting if you actually have a little bit of Japanese knowledge, knowing that like, oh, when they localize this, it's not really necessarily a word for word translation. This is weird.
I can see why they did it, because that's how
localization works.
That's how most Americans talk. They don't normally say "my sister" 50 times in the same conversation. They'll usually throw in, Aya or whatever her name is.
Right.
But in Japan, it's Oni-chan and Ni-chan or Nisama, depending on how much older your brother is.
Right.
So I think if I would have played this game 10 years ago, I wouldn't have noticed any of these things, and I wouldn't have cared.
So for people, it's not going to be a big deal.
Right. But if you have a small level of knowledge of Japanese, some of the way that's translated is going to bother you, especially if you're expecting Persona-like translations. They don't go to that level. But it's still very fun. I'm about 13 hours into it. I am almost at the end of chapter 2. I think I'm at the boss, and I'm actually stuck. So I've been grinding.
Okay. So how about the gameplay, like the puzzle solving? It seemed like there was a little bit more puzzle solving in this one than in something like Persona, for people who have played that.
Yeah, Persona pretty much all the levels are randomly generated with a few sections, or at least certain floors out of a fixed floor plan. But here, all the levels are scripted, and you know where it's gonna be the same every time you go in. And in fact, even in the first tutorial dungeon, you see sections that are walled off, so you know you're going to be able to go back into it later when you get new abilities to advance and further into the dungeon. So far I'm in the third dungeon, because there's the prologue, chapter 1, chapter 2. They're each in their own separate areas, but they each have walled off areas.
Okay.
Then, so like the prologue dungeon really didn't have any puzzles. It's It's just one big loop around, and the thing you have to watch out for is sometimes you have to jump down to the lower level or take lifts to go up and down. But the whole thing is essentially one big loop. So it's a nice level to go in and grind, to do a little grinding, because you just walk in a straight line and you'll eventually make it back to the entrance.
Very cool.
The first dungeon, that does add some different puzzle elements, and they did show this at Treehouse last year's E3. Like, you'll see this giant like a giant dress that takes up 3 floors, but with no there's nothing inside of it. There's no head, there's no hands, and then somewhere near it you'll find 3 mannequins set up with different arm poses, and then you're able to change the
one that was on that demo. Yeah,
right. You're able to change which one's lit, and in doing so, you make the dummy match what one of the mannequins, and then you're able to climb through the sleeves to change levels and get on the other side, and then change where the arms go, and then crawl back through, and now you end up on in a different place. So there's that near the end of that kind of got a little frustrating, but I finally got out of that. And then But the second level doesn't have. There's a few switches to open up pathways. Nothing really. It's extremely puzzle-like. It's just the big kick about that one is the villain or the enemy of the level is a photographer. So every once in a while you'll see these cameras set up, and if you walk in front of a camera, it will warp you back to a checkpoint.
Mm.
Sometimes you want to be warped back. Sometimes you don't want to be warped back.
Makes sense. Very cool. Well, right on, dude. I'm excited to hear more about how that game goes because it's
One more thing I wanted to mention.
yeah, for it.
Then between each chapter, they have what they call an intermission. So where basically the story is put on hold, but you're able to do some side questing if you want. This is and each character will have a certain number of side quests to go with it, which is similar to the friendship bonds that you had in Persona.
Right.
But they don't go that far out. But completing these tasks gives them additional abilities, and it opens up additional what they call ad lib performances during fights.
Which is similar to what did they call those in Persona? Is that the sort of like, or is that different? The sort of combo move or whatever.
That's different. What they have for combo moves, they call them sessions.
Right.
So they're all the moves are learned based on the weapon you use, and the weapon is basically your Mirage fused with the Performa. And then as you level up, you'll get more Performa, which lets you fuse more weapons, which lets you learn more abilities.
Mm.
But what the ad lib performances are is like when it's Kyria's turn, for example, she'll instead of doing the move that you selected for her, or if you have given her an AI thing to do, instead of doing that, she'll do literally just start singing. Costume change, song. This takes like 30 seconds to go through. It's very well animated, and during it, you see the enemies getting attacked by a big funnel of cold. And then at the end, they all take cold damage, which then usually will trigger a session, so everyone else gets a hit in to get some bonus hits in.
Cool.
So the more side quests you do, the more ad lib performances are available to the characters. So later on in the game, we should be able to. We'll be seeing a lot of ad libs, I may imagine.
Right on, dude. Very cool. Well, that is awesome. Let us. Do you have anything else, or are we?
Then quickly, since I wasn't on last week to talk about it, I have. When I was out of town on the airplane, I kind of went back and forth playing The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past and Oracle of Seasons on my 3DS.
Oh, nice.
So I get to a stuck point, I'd switch games, get to a stuck point, then I'm like, okay, I have to look up where I need to go next. And then eventually, I'll go. So I got, on Link to the Past, I forgot how fast you can actually get the Master Sword. You get that like within the first hour almost. But then I think I've gotten two dungeons in after that. The Oracle Seasons, I think I've only done one dungeon, maybe two.
I love Oracle Seasons, dude. That is
those two Oracle games are the only Zelda games that I have not finished.
Yeah, Oracle of Seasons. I've said that before. That's one of my favorite. It's also one of the few that I actually played growing up.
Well, I guess I can add Triforce Heroes to that list if we want to count that, because I didn't finish that either.
I don't know if that's necessary to add that to the list. Right on. Cool. Well, let's head into our community spotlight real quick, shall we? I think we're gonna need a new bumper for that.
That's what you said last week.
Every time I do it, I'm like, oh, yeah, you know what? It's literally the worst bumper I could have picked. Anyways, so Josh,
that's what happens when your guest is drunk.
It's, it's yeah, right on. So Josh, of course, you we've highlighted you before on the community spotlight, but is there anything, what is there on the BitBlock that you have been doing lately that you wanted to kind of highlight or point people towards? Anything super exciting that you have been going on?
No.
Oh, perfect. All right, next segment. No.
Well, actually, I do. Well, I have a question for you from the chat if you want to take that on.
Sure.
Yeah,
This is from Club Penguin Space.
Okay.
Asks, what is your favorite chapter in Paper Mario GameCube?
Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, my favorite chapter. Oh my god, they're all really good, really really good. But I think I have to go with the one where you're in the boggly woods and you're helping out these little characters called Punies, and they're taking on these like little mosquito characters who are bullying them. So you have to help them fight them and take them on, and it's this really beautiful art style in that chapter. And that's where you meet this ghost partner who has very large womanly things on her chest, which is very weird for a Paper Mario character. That's just and the music in that one is just like some of my favorite video game music ever. Like you guys got to listen to it like on YouTube or something. It's so good if you haven't heard it. So I think that's my favorite chapter, but it's so hard to pick a favorite chapter in that game because there's so many great ones. Like every one is great.
Right.
Have you guys played Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door?
I have not played the only Mario game that I have ever played. This is going to be sad. Is Sticker Star.
What did you think of it as your only Paper Mario
experience? It was I got about to the third world, and then I think it was the third world. It was the part where you have to hunt down the different Wiggler segments, and I was just like, okay, I'm done with this.
Yeah, I
got so tired of it that I just put it away. I was like,
yeah, I've fully played through both the N64 and the GameCube version, and the Wii version, I guess.
Super Paper Mario.
Yeah, but I think Thousand Year Door, I think, is my favorite one of those three.
It is genuinely, like, I know this sounds like such a pretentious thing to say, but it's like a masterpiece. Like I really think that game is like just so wonderful. Like I actually get emotional just listening to some of the music. Like some of the music in that game I listen to, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is taking me back to like the days of playing this for the first time. And oh, it's so. I'm actually gonna do a let's play of that game soon because it's a game that reminds me a lot of summer. It's like a very summery game to me. So
yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting discussion. Even just like summer, you've said that multiple times. I'm curious, what do you mean? Like, what is a good what characterizes a summer game to you? Like, what do you think?
Well, the most obvious thing is if it's like Wii Sports Resort, that's obviously a game you can only play in the summer. Like you can't play that around Christmas time or Halloween time. I'm weird. You guys, this is a really strange thing about me with video games and movies and TV shows. Like I save things for when they're in season. So like Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, I will not let myself play or listen to music from or look at screenshots from until it's like May, and then it has to go away in like September. Same with like Wii Sports Resort, Super Mario Sunshine.
See, I think
Luigi's Mansion can only be played around Halloween.
Yeah.
I think the last time I played Thousand Year Door was like 2 or 3 years ago during the winter holidays, and I think it was just before I started playing Persona 3.
You played it in winter. That's how I'm so disappointed in you right now, Jesse.
Like I'm thinking about like, okay, what were some of the games that I played like growing up? Like what is a summer game? And the big one that I'm thinking of is I spent literally probably an entire summer playing in my one of my friend's attic. Like he had a PS2, his bedroom was like way upstairs in the attic, and we played literally for an entire summer GTA Vice City. Like we wouldn't even really play the game. We would literally just go and steal cars and drive around the city. We did an entire summer. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, sometimes I think a summer game can be something that's maybe not necessarily clearly themed around summer, but it's something that you played in the summer and it was a great summer, so you just identify it with that. Like Thousand Year Door, I mean, yeah, there's like summer themed worlds in that, but there's also like a winter world and like a Halloween world. But for some reason, they still just feel very summer to me because that game was played in the summer for the first time.
Well, and even like most recently, like last year, like with Splatoon.
That's a summer game.
Beginning of the summer, Mario Kart, it's interesting. Even Nintendo releases things at the beginning of the summer, pretty much every year. For except for this year, strange, but like Splatoon or Mario Kart 8 before that. Something that's very multiplayer. That kind of a thing. Something that you can play with your friends as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably something that I would hope they do that on purpose, knowing that it's like, oh, it's summer, kids are off school, people have time away from work for some holiday stuff, and like summer with like 4th of July and Memorial Day and all that. Um, so I think maybe they think, okay, that's when we'll get our like big multiplayer stuff out.
Hmm.
You don't want to release big, lengthy single player game in the summer, I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, like Sharp, like this Tokyo Mirage Sessions game. Yeah, right on. Very cool.
So I must say it is hard fighting with TV time with my son, who's you normally monopolizing the game systems. So I say, all right, I'm playing this game now, he knows to get off. He knows how much I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, just play it on the gamepad. Just play it on the gamepad.
Actually, you cannot. I wanted to mention this. I forgot. This game cannot be played just on the gamepad. The way they do it is your characters all have like their cell phones because modern teenagers, why not? But whenever you get a message, that shows up on the gamepad.
Oh, okay.
That will not show up. You get notified if it's something that's urgent and you have to read it. The game will stop and you'll be told, "Look at the gamepad."
I saw the funniest comment about this, and this is just reminding me of it. But this is it. I saw the funniest comment from Aonuma at E3, basically saying, "Yeah, having important stuff, switching back and forth from the gamepad sucks."
I loved that comment so much.
Where he's basically like, if you, it's basically, I even think he related it to like texting and driving or something like that, where it was just like, if you were to look down at your phone and then look back up, you would be dead.
And I love the idea that like he's one of Nintendo's top designers, and he's saying that because like another one of Nintendo's top designers literally took on the task of making games specifically to do the thing that he's saying is a stupid idea.
Yeah, like just like not 3 months before that, Star
Fox Zero came out.
Yeah, which that concept, if they would have removed the two screen thing from Star Fox Zero, that game would have been so much better.
It would have been playable.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is like, yes, you can actually play, like you can play it the way it was intended, but it's just
not comfortably. I didn't think. I personally didn't think it was comfortable to play.
It was one or the other, right? Like you kind of had to pick one or the other. Are you going to use the gamepad or are you going to use the TV? And anytime that they force me to use, I feel like I need to use the gamepad or I'm using the gamepad. Kirby was the same way, the Rainbow Curse. Anytime
when you had to use the gamepad, I don't know how you could have played that looking at the TV.
Anytime I have to look at that gamepad screen and the terrible resolution and the color and
the reds look terrible. The color red looks really bad on the gamepad.
Nothing about that screen that is good. And so anytime I have to look at it for too long, I just feel gross.
What was I was playing I was playing Mario Kart 8 with Andre from Game Explain a few nights ago. And I didn't have, I didn't feel like playing it on the TV, so I just played it on the gamepad. And oh my gosh, it feels like I'm watching a low resolution YouTube video on the gamepad for Mario Kart 8. I think it's an even lower resolution because it's actually really quite difficult to get your Wii U game to play on a TV and stream on the gamepad at the same time. It's a big accomplishment. In order to do that, you really do have to knock down the visual aspect of the game. It can't be as pretty. There can't be as many polygons or special effects or high resolution textures.
A lot of games, when you cut it over to the gamepad, the TV will just say, "I'm blank."
Right, exactly, and that's why. And like I said, if you play Mario Kart 8 on the gamepad and you look at the gamepad as your method of playing, oh my gosh, it does not. It's like an insult to how good that game actually looks on your TV.
Yeah, it's almost like I was just at the Classic Video Game Championships here in Edmonton over the weekend, and they had a bunch of they had Super Nintendos and NESs. Actually, I should file this under what we've been playing. They actually had a copy of the 1990 Nintendo World Championships there, and Justin and I, if you actually go onto our YouTube page, you can see me playing it, and Justin had played before me. But all of that stuff they had on CRT TVs, right? Like it's almost like you need to when you're playing on the gamepad. It's like, can we just like output this to a CRT maybe? Like maybe it'll look better. But yeah. It's amazing how with those older games how much better it looks on those on a CRT TV for some reason. It just is what it was intended for, and so it doesn't look nearly as janky.
Which is why
Yeah.
I have a CRT behind me for when I want to play the PS2 or N64 or stuff like that.
It's so much better.
It's really funny. I noticed somewhat recently I was playing Mario 64 on the anniversary. It recently turned 20 years old, and I played it that day just for the fun of it. And there's this really great thing you notice when you play it on like an expensive modern HD TV. When Mario is a certain distance from the camera, he goes into this super low poly mode. Like he looks really low polygon, even compared to what he looks like up close.
Oh.
And you would have never noticed that on an old TV like back in the 90s. But now that we're playing it on,
away with it, right? They were like,
you'd never see that. Yeah.
yeah.
The resolution was not good where you notice it, but now you notice it and it just looks so crazy.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Right on. Well, let's get into some listener mail, shall we?
Let's do it.
Right on. So as well, I just want to point out with that bumper music from Mother 3. Mother 3 was not announced. Many salty tears have been shed.
Emily Rogers claims that she never said it was going to be announced at E3, so we'll see if she's right.
All right. Emily Rogers.
She also said Link was going to be a girl, and she's wrong about that. So we'll see if she's right about the Earthbound.
He's a very androgynous male, though. And
well, you know what? So am I in Wiz. No.
Amazing. I love it. Right on. So our first email actually is an update. Josh, were you here last time? I feel like you were here when we had this last email about the kid who was on Xbox Live and was like
Yeah, I was actually
being berated. So we have an update.
Okay.
This is from Derek. It says, "Hello, Nintendo Dads. This is Derek again with the voice chat update you requested. I called Microsoft." So for those of you who don't remember or who didn't hear this, basically, Jesse, if I'm remembering correctly, he had his son was on Xbox Live and was basically being berated by the people who were, or they were swearing, and it was just he was getting the full Xbox Live experience.
Right.
He said, "I called Microsoft in regards to the issue. They pretty much advised me that my child needs to grow a skin and he's going to have issues in life if he can't deal with peer pressure.
Wow.
I called a family meeting and we all decided that selling the system in favor of a trip to Disney World would be better."
Yes. I feel like did I talk to this guy in my sleep or something?
Yeah.
This sounds like my advice.
Yeah, he says, "So GameStop now has a system. However, due to recent event, my child no longer wants to go to Disneyland."
Oh, wait a minute. What? Hold on a second.
I don't know what's going on. So here we'll finish this up. He says, we finally got him a Nintendo 3DS and the games Animal Crossing New Leaf, which he ravenously is playing, and Mario Kart 7, which he's also enjoying. We did research ahead of time and decided upon a 3DS due to its lack of voice chat. We would like to surprise him with a game upon receiving straight A's on report cards or excessive good behavior. I love the term excessive good behavior. Like, not too much good behavior. Like, whoa, son, hey, here's this game so you don't have too much. Anyway, I know what he means. So I get what he means. What game would you suggest to a 9-year-old boy who gets scared of horror movies? He's mentioned Zelda, but in some Zelda seems all right, while others games seem scary in that series. Any thoughts on the 3DS Zelda games? Thanks again, Derek. So,
Link Between Worlds, definitely. I don't
what
think there's any scary elements there. You know, there are no, what are those things called?
Undead?
Yeah.
The descending hand thing that grabs you.
No, the undead things that just screeches.
Oh, the Re-Dead?
Re-Dead.
The Re-Dead, there you go.
Yeah. I don't think there's any of those.
I think Link Between Worlds is a really good one. I also, it's not a Zelda game, but if he's looking for other games that would be good for a 9-year-old, I think something like Pokemon or Yokai Watch would be other good options. Again, that's like, it's a good, like, he's 9 years old. He's old enough that he can read, he can read the in-game text, but it's still aimed at kids. In fact, that is pretty much the age that these games are, at least the marketing, that's who they target, with these games is starting at around that age. So
I still have some questions about the question.
I know with the he doesn't want to go to Disney World thing.
What child doesn't want to go to Disney World?
Man, there are some serious gaps in this email.
This is the problem we need to be attacking, not Xbox being terrible. I need to know what
the new Disney Magical. I'm surprised that you haven't done the reviews of Disney Magical. What is it called? Disney. What?
I know what game you're referring to. I think it's
Disney
Magic Castle
thing or something.
So here's the deal. I played the first game, and it really disappointed me. So the second game, I feel like I can't deal with.
You just can't be. You can't. You know.
It took way too long to even. I couldn't even find Peter Pan in the first game, and I played for like 15 hours. I was like, no, this is it. I'm done.
That's sad.
It's very it's a weird combination because it's like there's a lot of strangely very Japanese gameplay, like grinding for minerals and materials so you can make a piece of furniture, and you got to like go through the forest and attack weird monsters that are not even Disney characters for Cinderella. So it's like this. It's not a true Disney experience. I felt it kind of had a weird thing going on.
It's a single player MMO.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's so weird.
What was the other game that was like that?
Fantasy Life?
Yes, Fantasy Life is the one I'm thinking of.
Fantasy Life I played a little bit of, and I thought it was actually pretty good. I thought it was pretty charming, and I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if a 9-year-old would really be able to enjoy Fantasy Life.
Yeah, that's again. I think if you're looking for that kind of a game, I think. I think he's already got it. It's Animal Crossing New Leaf, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that game is amazing.
That's pretty.
Kobe in the chat says recommends waiting for Sun and Moon if you're gonna get your son the Pokemon game versus getting something that's already out.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And
Super Mario 3D Land, if I think that's a good one.
That is a very good one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And Kirby Planet Robobot, what are you doing? If you
Yeah.
own that yet. My son loves that game.
You might even be able to find Triple Deluxe even cheaper if you just want a basic Kirby game on the 3DS.
Yeah. Although it doesn't have mechs.
Well, you know what? Kirby Planet Robobot only has mechs half the time, which was a little bit of a disappointment for me.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, that's true. So yeah, as far as Zelda games though, I think Link Between Worlds is
that doesn't have anything scary in it from what I remember.
No, I definitely don't go with Majora's Mask because half that game is like
that scared me, and I'm a young man.
Yeah, there's a lot of creepy things going on in that game.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really difficult too. I thought that's like the most difficult Zelda game I have ever played. It's pretty confusing.
It is. I haven't the N64 game. I couldn't play. I couldn't get into it, and it almost requires a fact to be in your lap while you're playing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, very much.
Yeah,
like
I agree. Yeah,
much like Sticker Star, but the 3DS does streamline it. It has a better, the catalog book that you use to help organize your quests. That's been improved, and so I was able to 100% the game on the 3DS.
Yeah, and can we just very quickly talk about Microsoft customer support giving parenting advice?
Yeah, is that
a thing? That's just weird to me. I just thought that was funny. Like, sorry, and that says a lot. Like, it doesn't surprise me considering how what else is Microsoft going to say about that sort of a toxic environment, really?
Well, they could have said that you can put parental controls on.
Well, that's the thing, right? Yeah,
I don't know why they wouldn't have just gone with that route. Like, oh, sorry to hear about that. We have a variety of parental controls, and
yeah, the fact that is the response is crazy to me. I don't. So hopefully that helps Derek. Again, it sounds like he's going to be enjoying his 3DS. It's yeah, I'm interested to hear more about what do you guys, or what sort of games is he liking, and yeah, thanks for the follow up, because that's crazy to me that was their response, and it sounds like you made the right decision there with that.
I think they still need to go to Disney. How is Disney's a lot more expensive than returning an Xbox?
Maybe they live close at least, and so it's not like,
oh, there you go.
So maybe it's like the price of going to Disney for a day versus buying a 3DS. If you're close, maybe it's
true.
Similar with if you've got some games included and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, then it would be.
Yeah. Right on. So next email says, "Hey, Dads." This is from Jamie. It says, "Hey, Dads. The question was asked 3 weeks ago which 25th game was overhyped by Nintendo. I suggested Woolly World was on that list. This caused Justin to spit out his Tim Hortons all over the screen. Considering it was originally released in Europe during June, Japan in July, and later October in North America, it's my opinion that its regional delay destroyed any hype I had for that game. I had the chance to play Yoshi's Woolly World with my 3-year-old recently. The entire time he was complaining about how boring it was and how he'd rather be playing Pikmin 3 or Splatoon. I played Runbow, 3D World, and Bit Trip Runner 2 with him as well, and he did not enjoy them. Although he's warming up to Kirby and the Super Mario Land games from Game Boy, he is really excited for Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild and Yooka-Laylee. How old are you? 3-year-old. Okay. My question is: are there games that your kids really dislike? Can you think of a play session where you really tried to sell your game to a child and they weren't having it? I really enjoyed your E3 coverage. Have a great week, Jamie. So this one's funny to me because the reason I stopped and said, okay, well, how old is this kid again? And the fact that it's a 3-year-old, um, I think that there's a very
I don't blame him for not liking Bit Rip Runner 2. that game is frustration.
Yeah. I think what's really important with gaming with really little kids, like especially like 3, 4, is the attention span issue. And it doesn't matter how exciting the game is. This is just my experience with my son and with kids that are really young, and even my understanding of development as well. It doesn't matter how good this game is. It likely is just a mismatch of video games and play session length and just general attention span for a young child who doesn't really have the cognitive and motor ability to really get invested in this game yet, and also just a short attention span. And so I don't know if maybe that's part of it. With Pikmin 3 and Splatoon, again, it could be the character design, it could be the music and the colors and all of those things combined that maybe is stimulating enough for the child. And this is, you're witnessing me going fully into psychologist mode here, but like just like that combination in itself is stimulating enough that it's more exciting. But it really doesn't necessarily have to do as much to do with gameplay as that goes. But as far as is he warming up to? It's interesting, like warming up to Kirby and the Super Mario Land games from Game Boy. Again, maybe that's simple enough. We've had this discussion before about like what games is your child, especially early on like this, what games is your child actually latching onto? And that is the number one thing that you should be paying attention to as far as what games should I introduce to my child. It's just expose them to a bunch of stuff, and if they like something, then kind of go in that direction. I don't know. Are there any games that your kids really dislike? I can't think of anything. Jesse, can you think of anything, or do you have anything to add about this sort of topic in general?
It's been so long since my kids have been that young. It's been a while since I've introduced a game to my kids. I don't remember what the result, which ones they liked, which ones they didn't. At least nowadays they know what they like and know what they don't like, and will say, "Hey, I want this," or "Don't even bother with that one."
Yeah.
Like my son is, every year's Call of Duty he wants.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big shocker.
Yeah, it seems like for me too. Like I can't think of anything specifically. Like I'm thinking maybe, like what was there recently? Anything that was, I think maybe Twilight Princess was kind of like this because it's not really, anything that's like a single player. He's like, all right, Dad, like let's play something together. Let's do some multiplayer. He's not super interested in it.
One thing I do remember from like 3 or 4 years ago, Pokemon Conquest.
Yeah.
Yeah. My son was. All three of my kids are big Pokemon fans. In fact, that's pretty much the only game my girls will play, on their 3DSs. And so I figured, I rented that and I said, "Hey, give this a try. Let me know what you think." And he goes, "I don't like this."
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the grid-based format. it's well known that I don't like grid-based battles either. Um, the fact that he had to, this is still the point where he was, not very well at reading, and that might have been an issue, or I'm not. He just said he didn't like it.
Right on. What about you, Josh? Any?
My kids hate video games, and they're ashamed of their father for playing them.
They look down over their hipster glasses.
They do. They're into Starbucks and smartphone apps and
now you're sounding like my youngest daughter.
Amazing.
It's funny. I have a friend though who has like I think he's 4 now. He has a little 4-year-old boy, and he's been playing video games since he was like 2, and he's into he was really into Splatoon and really into like what was the other one that we had talked about with Splatoon? There was another one there. Pikmin 3. He's like really obsessed with Pikmin and strangely good at playing them. Like if you were just watching the TV and didn't see who was playing the game, you would assume like an adult is playing. It's almost to the point where it's a little creepy how good this child is.
It's surprising to me that Pikmin 3 is in this conversation because
with kids, yeah.
I remember playing through Pikmin 3 and feeling like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I got to manage all this stuff. Like,
well, you're an old man and you're not hip with what the kids want these days.
At least Pikmin 3 gives you I think you have up to 70 days before you run out of
right, and you
juice.
Probably. I was playing it like very sort of multitasky, right? Whereas like splitting up my troops and that sort of thing.
That's how you're supposed to play it. I don't because my brain doesn't work that way. Like I tried playing my wife tried having me play StarCraft. That was a disaster.
I think what kids I'm sorry, I was just going to point out, I think what kids connect with Pikmin to is they love the weird creatures. Like the fact that it's this nature setting and they see all these weird gooey froggy creatures, birds and stuff, and it's really like I think visually fun and stimulating to kids because it's got a lot of imagination in its creature design.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I was going to say in Pikmin 1 you have the 30-day limit, and at the end of 30 days you're done. Well, the only thing you can do at that point is start over and try to do better.
Yeah, that was a bit weird. That's crazy. I love Pikmin 3. I should go back and play that, but
it's literally it's the reason to own a Wii U, I think.
it's seriously like I remember playing through that thinking like, oh my gosh, I have not played anything like this in forever. And
have you guys tried to play the challenge mode stuff or the battle mode stuff with your kids? Or
no, actually, no, I haven't. But that's a really good idea because I haven't played a whole lot of it. I played a little bit of it like single player sort of time attack mode sort of thing, but that's it. And
it's really, really fun. Like the extra content in Pikmin 3 is like really worthy of being in the game. Oftentimes you see extra modes in a game and it's just like, yeah, whatever, that was thrown in there. But like the challenge mode and the bingo battle mode are so, so good. And they're really addictive. And like I was saying, like if you guys played those with your kids, I think it would be super fun because you really keep learning as you're playing like, oh, okay, this time we'll do this, or I'll go over here, and you work together. And you can get
competitive or co-op or both.
So the challenge mode is cooperative. It's you and another person are cooperating to get all of the fruit and destroy all the enemies and then bring them back to your base. And you have like a score type deal with it. So you can earn different medals like bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. So it really does have that great replay value to it when you're playing with somebody else. Like I played it, like I said, with my friends' little boy, and it was, it's really fun to play, so I'd imagine it'd be fun to play with your kids.
Right on, man.
I played the bingo mode once with my son, who he's not a big Pikmin fan, but I had him play the single player game for like a half an hour just so he knows what the controls are. And then he said, let's try this 2-player mode, and we played it once. We're like, yep, that was a 2-player mode.
I need to have a long talk with your child.
I think if he enjoyed it more, like, it would have been more fun.
Did you guys play with the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, or did you play with like a typical controller, like a standard controller?
I don't remember what he did, but I used the Wii Remote and Nunchuck.
Yeah, that's definitely going to increase your enjoyment of Pikmin 3 drastically if you use that.
I played it. I think I played it a combination of that, and I actually played quite a bit of it just on the gamepad by itself. And so used, and this was before they patched in the stylus controls too. So I was literally just using the dual nunchuck.
That had to be miserable.
It was not. It was nowhere near as good.
It's so slow and clunky by comparison.
Yeah.
See, that's why I'm really like, I'm such a huge Pikmin fan. Like, this is like maybe my, other than Animal Crossing, this is it for me. This is like my most beloved franchise in video games. So I'm really worried about Pikmin 4 because I mean, like, if I have to go back to just using the analog to aim in Pikmin 4 and not being able to just point at the screen with a Wii Remote Plus controller and a nunchuck, like, that's going to be really hard. That's going to feel like a jump backwards.
Did you try it with the stylus controls?
I did. I didn't really like it that much because I didn't want to look at the gamepad screen to view this gorgeous game.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully, like, again, my if this is a hybrid thing with a game, like a mini gamepad thing, I really hope they basically just take the screen from the Vita and put that in the new controller. Like, that screen puts it to shame. And every time I pick up my Vita, which is not very often, to be fair, but every time I do, I'm like, oh man, I always forget how gorgeous that screen is.
Yeah, especially compared to the gamepad.
Oh, the gamepad's so bad.
There are Fisher-Price things that have better screens than the gamepad.
Like Elite Pad, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, finally, we've got one last email. It's a quick one. It says, it's from Chris. It says, "Hey, dads, simple question. Do you guys think Metroid Prime Federation Force killed the E3 digital event?" I'm guessing that means last year. No, I think there was other things that also killed it.
Everything killed that event.
I mean, Amiibo Festival, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival killed it.
The puppets was the best part.
Yeah.
The Jim Henson Company rocked that. Did you guys know me and Roger actually got to go there
I saw that
during E3? It was pretty awesome. We got like private
pictures with the puppets and stuff.
We took pictures with the puppets up in Nintendo's like area where they have like the media area, but we went to the Jim Henson Company. The puppets weren't there because Nintendo had them at E3. But yeah, we just got like this private tour of the Jim Henson Company after E3.
What?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh, that's what you get when you work for Disney. I guess.
Roger's got connections.
He's got the man. Very cool. Right on, dude. Well, I think that brings us to the end of the show. Just looking at this here. So, Josh, thanks again for being on the show, man. Where can people find your stuff on the internet?
People can find me at TheBitBlock on YouTube, and I'm on Instagram. My name on Instagram is, I think, Joshy Pants.
Wow.
It's Joshy Pants 86 on Instagram, and it's Joshy Chomp Chomp on Twitter. I have different names for everything, so it's probably pretty difficult to actually find where the heck I am, but I'm pretty much all over the place.
That's
just they make special whistles that are like dog whistles, but they're just for me. So you get one of those and you blow into it, and then I'll come running, and then I'll figure out what you needed.
That's awesome. Right on. Very cool. Well, yeah, again, thanks for being on the show. Anytime you want to be on the show, let us know. You're always welcome on the show for sure.
Absolutely.
Well,
right.
I wanted to do a quick plug. Going back to FE again, I did an unboxing video of the special edition.
Yeah.
And in fact, I didn't even open the audio disc initially, so I looked at it after I had played it for the game for an hour and a half. And I'm like, I'm going to have to shoot an addendum and piece it into the video. So it's a little piecemealy, but at the end of that, I do have about almost 45 minutes of gameplay. So you can see the bright, shiny lights that could induce seizures. I try to do it kind of as non-spoily as possible. I don't include anything in the first half hour as being spoiler fodder because you're gonna have to sit through that first half hour anyway if you play it. But I show the first battle and then I cut away to the right after the boss of the prologue.
Right on, dude.
Okay, and then when it gets to the reading the text on the gamepad, since obviously I can't show them my gamepad, I actually read that out loud. So
very cool.
A little bit of that.
Go check that out, people. As well, you can also go over to YouTube and see. Again, I said me beating Justin's score in the 1990 Nintendo World Championships. I kicked his butt, so that's the thing. You can go and watch that.
Makes me wish I was there to play it, because I think I would have gotten all of you.
Yeah, probably. As well, likely being published this Sunday, we will release the audio from our live panel that we did at the Classic Video Game Championships over there that Justin and I did over on the weekend. So check that out coming up this weekend as well. Keep our eye on Twitter. We will be doing our Patreon hangout this weekend as well at some point. So keep an eye out on Twitter and all the local channels and stuff for patrons. That is coming up. Finally, if you want to follow us on all of the social medias on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, you can do that at Nintendo Dads. Follow us, or you can email us, nintendodads@gmail.com. YouTube.com/c/Nintendo Dads is where you can find us every Wednesday night. And of course, you can call and leave us a voicemail, 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. Big thanks to OC Remix for our music throughout the show, as well as to Carter Johnson for our artwork. And of course, if you want to change the world, go over and give us a review on iTunes. 5-star reviews, written reviews are even better. And of course, if you want to download the show, you can go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and of course, VGTribune.com. For me, for Jesse, and for Josh, we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dad.